Plus size fashion as we know it is dead, and we really need to talk about it.
Let's take this show on the road. Same-ish, different day. I be bored out my mind. Hometown, love my place, but while I'm in my prime, gotta go get away. Hop a train, cop a flight, and ride. Tonight I gotta break free. My job knows boss be working my nerves. Clock out at phone do not disturb.
I am someone who has stopped making videos like this because at one point you just get fatigued in the good fight. I do believe in equality and representation for plus size people, and I've kind of held my tongue because it can be seen as drama, and that's not what I want. So I'm going to do this as respectfully as possible, but no one else chose to talk about it, and I feel like it needs to be talked about because at this point, I don't think I'm trying to change anything. I just want people to be aware, and we start changing where we're spending our money, and we start using our dollars, our voices to brands that are for us and not against us or using us. And that is my point in this video. I just got back from LA this morning from a brand event I went to for a brand that it's not even worth mentioning because I like the brand. I don't think this is specific to the brand. This is a bigger issue we're seeing with the rise of Ozempic culture and heroin chic, like the New York Times likes to call it.
The Grammy Award-winning singer revealing for the first time that she uses medication for weight loss.
It's the controversial diet drug that's swept from TikTok to Tinseltown.
In a society where Ozempic culture dominates the conversation around beauty and bodies, plus-size individuals are often left feeling marginalized.
People are doing Ozempic parties here in LA.
And it's making headlines everywhere.
Excluded and invisible yet again.
Everybody's using it.
Thin is in. And we're seeing a lot of regression in plus size fashion, in styling, in models having a harder time getting work, in influencers' views. Mutual's just not doing well when it comes to fashion, and it's draining because we worked really, really hard as a collective to get this representation level that once it was not cool to be big girl anymore, we're done. So I want to talk about this brand event I went to, and it was beautiful, really well put together. We were very well taken care of. Things were going great. There was a really long line when I walked in that I didn't kind of like become inquisitive about until like an hour I was there. And I finally go and I find an employee. She has an iPad in her hand. I'm like, hey, like, what's this line for? She's like, we're actually gifting you guys anything you want from the QR code. And I was like, really? Like, that's awesome. I go back to my mutuals and I'm like, hey, like, we're not paying for nothing. It is to place an order. They're going to send it to us. It's awesome. Scan the QR code. I put in my size because you can filter it. And at first I put a 3X because I know the brand very well. And I know that their sizes tend to do like one size smaller they tend to be one size smaller. So I put in my size and there was one jacket and I was like, that's weird. Okay. And then I put in the size under me. So I put a 2X in. The only thing that popped up was the skirt to the jacket. Thought that was very, very strange. So when you look around the entire party, there are racks and racks and racks and racks of clothes that are supposed to be representative of this collection they're trying to promote. Being who I am, I'm always standing up for something. I tell my friends, I'm like, I have to say something, right? So I decide to do it. And I go to the girl and I was like, hey, like I scanned the QR code. You do realize there are no plus size options available, right? And she kind of freaked out and very professionally got a little defensive. And she's like, and like the terminology made me realize like this was like, it felt scripted. It felt like very like prepared for this moment. She was like, we are very size inclusive. Like, that's an odd thing to say. Like, if someone's like, hey, your QR code doesn't have any plus size options, you'd be like, oh, well, like, go look at the rack, there's plus size, or, click the plus size tab or whatever. But the first terminology to be like, we are very size inclusive felt very like defensive. And I was like, And so I was just letting her talk. And she was like, if you go around the racks, you can look for anything that has plus size on it. So basically, if the tag was a 1X, 2X, or 3X, they offered a plus size. And she's like, if you don't see anything that's like, if you don't see something that you like in a plus size, just bring it to me and we'll see if we have the plus size option available. And I was like, okay, well, like I can take that. That's cool. I hadn't shopped the racks yet. Very fair. I'm going to shop the racks. There are like, again, the room is full of racks of clothes. So there are about 5 to 8 items of this entire warehouse we're in that have a plus size number on it. Keep in mind, I do live in Baltimore and this brand is huge here. We do have a very big plus size community out on the East Coast. And like on the East Coast, this brand is a big, big deal. If you have any event, if you are planning any kind of party or fun, like this is the go-to place. Like this is where, if you're like, Stella, we're going to a 4th of July party, like I'm going to grab an outfit at this store. So to know their audience here versus the West Coast is jarring and different, but it was like, oh, I grabbed 2 pieces of clothing that I liked and I go head back to the front, and then another employee ended up giving us his email. He's like, "Hey, just like pick anything you want from the website and like we'll send it to you. It's fine." Which I thought was like a good saving the day moment. But it just kind of was this feeling like me and my friends were talking about it. We're like, "Wow, that really sucks." And the difference between me and my friends is like my friends are like models. I consider myself more of an influencer than a model. They are not having the easiest time getting booked in plus size modeling. Like not and I don't believe anything's different other than the availability. Like there's not as many like casting calls for plus size models, and it's just a different landscape. And this whole rhetoric has been such a topic of conversation, I think, the last year. And I genuinely believe that it's time to shop smaller. And that's something I've personally been doing. If you've been keeping up, I know that I make a lot of videos of these brands you guys have never heard of, but it's like the tried and true statement, like, don't go where you're tolerated, go where you're celebrated. And it's true. And I want to be real though about that too, because a lot of people are like, well, just shop small, shop with these small designers trying so hard to break through. I, as someone who's been shopping small, have noticed a lot of reasons why people don't probably want to just immediately do that. One, they like the brands they're shopping at because those brands had already made space for them. They're affordable, they made space, and they're cute and trendy. What I've noticed with a lot of plus size, smaller stores or creators or private labels is that it's like luxury. Everything's really, really expensive, but then it feels like also overcorrected. So it's really expensive, but it's also trying to hit like all the nails on the head. So it's like sustainability and the price and the fit. It's just like a lot happening when people were used to shopping in the trend of this. There's no like plus size trend of the same trend people were shopping. That makes sense for someone like me. Like I have gravitated to more sustainable clothing in general. And so for me, gravitating to smaller independent designers that offer sustainable fashion, it's not as trendy. It's not as, you know, quick with it, but that's my trend, so it makes sense. But if you're like a fast fashion girl going to that, it's a jump that doesn't really equal, and especially in price. Like things are so expensive with smaller plus size stores where, you know, you're like, oh, well, I just want to go where I was happy, and now where you're happy doesn't want you, and it's tough. So I do feel for the shoppers who are experiencing that. And I also feel like this is a great time to be a plus size influencer. And I'm just going to keep it real. It was really, really, really hard when I started in plus size fashion because it wasn't cool yet to be a plus size girl. And it was really hard, just like with comments and negativity. But it created such a safe community of women and men who could just come together and feel each other's love, explore fashion together and explore different styles. And it was just cool. And I think what happened is, you know, we went from this cute little community of, you know, your followers or whatever to this mainstream on billboards, on runways, on magazine covers. And it was just so exciting because, you know, it's equitable now. And then to have that taken away, I think that's a really big sting. And I think it hurts a little bit more because it's like everything has their moment, right? There's a moment for everything, and the moment is over. But it's like, it's different when the moment is not just a moment for you, it's like your life. It creates this different level of like, this wasn't just a trend for me. Like this is my life, and you know, who we're representing and who we're making videos for and who we're helping is so much more than just your moment as a brand. Yeah, I think that moment have really solidified like I'm doing something good in exploring these smaller plus size brands, because there are a lot of great designers out there doing really good things. And some of my favorites, like one of my favorite stores right now since January of last year, so like over a year, is a smaller brand, and I found a lot of joy in their clothing. But again, that's my style trend, and it's just not fitting everyone's. And so it feels like a couple steps back, but I'm hoping that we continue to make steps forward. I think now is a great time to vote with your dollar, right? That's what they like to say. Where are you spending your dollar, and being intentional about putting it to places that actually care about you, your style, your size, your correct sizing, your freedom in your own body. So that's my experience. Talk to you guys soon. Love and light. Bye bye.